Shalom, shalom. It's the brother Shamar, a war from the GMS Raleigh, North Carolina camp, coming back with another lesson. Before I go any further, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Kakodash. Next up, honors to the Apostle and Elders, great millstone, and taught me the 100% truth, according to the King James Bible, as well as the Apocrypha. And double shalom to the brothers going on the highways and the byways, and do these video lessons for you those who like. All right. Basically, this is just going into fearing the Lord. You fear the Lord should be growing more and more each day. The more that you learn and the more that you see His judgments go throughout the whole entire earth. Because we don't want to be caught up in these judgments. Our main goal is to be slated for salvation. Fighting for that salvation. So this is Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, chapter 1, verse 8. There is one wise and greatly to be feared. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai sitting upon His throne. Is one wise and greatly to be feared. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, the one that created everything before you, the one that created wisdom. And the first thing to get wisdom is you got to fear the Heavenly Father. So there is one wise and greatly to be feared. A power that showed His judgments throughout the whole entire world. Other nations know about the judgments of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, the parting of the seas, the great famine and the plagues in Egypt, the great flood, other nations know and have accounts of these horrific judgments, and the Lord still bring His judgments throughout the four corners of the earth, still to this very day, earthquakes in diverse places, That's why it's one wise and greatly to be feared, This is my next precept. This is Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 39. It says, "See now that I, even I, am He, and there is no power with me." There's no one in the heavens giving Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai counsel. He does it all alone. And He has servants, ministers that work for Him. Via the angels. If He wants to relay a message and all that, He sends it through the angels, and the angels perform His judgment upon the earth. See now that I, even I, am He, and there is no power with me. I kill and I make alive. That's a power that you should feel that controls life and death. Someone that can kill you in the most gruesome way, and someone that can doggone deliver that judgment unto you and bring you back to life upon the operating table. It's like it. But that's a power that you should fear. I wound and I heal, a power that controls, every aspect of your life, whether you get wounded, whether you receive a gunshot wound, stab wound, whatever. And I heal, the power that can heal you from these things, from these ailments and these wounds. It says, neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand, as it says in Hebrews 10 and 31, it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power, No one can deliver you out of the hands of the Lord, out of that judgment. When the Lord wants to bring that judgment upon you, no one can deliver you from that. If it be of the Heavenly Father's will, He's going to perform His judgment upon you, That's why you should fear the Heavenly Father, And these false idols, they can't deliver you, They have no breath, as it says in Habakkuk, the 2 and 18, down to like 19, They have no breath. They can't deliver you. They can't do nothing for you. These idols and these graven images that man creates and worships. It says, "For I lift up my hand to heaven and say I live forever." None of these false idols can do that, but Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai can. They're the living powers. That dwell on high. Those are the powers that you should fear, that you should serve. And why should you serve it? Because you don't want to suffer the judgment of what 2/3 have to feel, And this is just one of the judgments right here. This is Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, chapter 39, verse 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, you know, payback from the Lord. The Lord has spirits, set aside, to render judgment unto you for transgressions and offenses against the Heavenly Father and his law, statutes, commandments, which were given to the Israelites, which consist of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the true biblical Hebrew Israelites, according to the seed line of your father, which go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It says, Sirach chapter 39, verse 28, there be spirits created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. The Lord has certain spirits set aside that's going to pour out their force, that's going to wreak all, and that's going to wreak the full judgment of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai upon you. And it's going to appease the Lord. The Lord's going to be pleased with that. It's going to satisfy the Lord's, his anger for you transgressing his laws, statutes, commandments, And let's see what some of them are real quick. It says, fire and hail and famine and death. All these were created for vengeance, fire, ultimately going into, the day of judgment, the thermonuclear ICBM missiles, that fire from the chariots, the laser beams from the chariots, the Lord creating these forest fires. These are spirits created for vengeance, What else? Those are judgments, It says in hail, ice balls falling from the sky, It says in famine, a lack of bread, a lack of resources, lack of water, something, to quench your thirst, something to satisfy that hunger in your belly, Famine, that's a spirit that's coming to befall 2/3, well, really befall the whole planet, which, the Lord said his servant's going to eat, but 2/3 are going to starve. Salakia, 2/3 are going to starve, as it says in Isaiah 65. But that's why you should fear the Lord. 2/3 not going to fear him. They're going to be the ones starving. They're going to be the ones in thirst. And they're going to be the ones, that's going to be lamenting and going to be in a sorrowful state, It says, what else? It says in death, that's all 2/3 really have to look forward to is death, because they didn't seek the ways of the Heavenly Father. They are not doing what is pleasing unto the Heavenly Father. They're not, first and foremost, fearing the Heavenly Father, acknowledging him. And it says, all these were created for vengeance, the Lord's payback, the Lord's recompense unto them that chose not to fear him. It says, teeth of wild beasts, more judgment, and scorpions, serpents, and the sword. The sword is any killing instrument. These are spirits created for vengeance, that's going to befall 2/3 of the nation of Israel, that didn't turn back and didn't choose to fear the Heavenly Father. It says, and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction. This is the judgment that's going forth even now. And it's going to increase in these latter times, because 2/3 of the nation of Israel chose not to fear Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. They chose not to seek him, and they chose not to serve him. This is Sirach chapter 40, verse 8. Such things happen unto all flesh, both man and beast, that and is sevenfold more upon sinners. And sinners are the so-called sinners are the Israelites that chose to transgress the Heavenly Father's law, statutes, commandments, whether willfully or ignorantly, and they didn't choose to see where they was going off. It says death and bloodshed, strife and sword, calamities, famine, tribulation, and the scourge, beatings, tribulations, hard times, catching hell, famine, a lack of bread, food, water, something to drink, resources, calamity, strange death, freak accidents, the unexplainable, sudden judgment. It says the sword, any killing instrument coming to slay you, strife and bloodshed, fightings, beatings, bloodshed and death. All these things, it says, these things are created for the wicked, and for their sakes came the flood, for their sakes came, all these things came, because they chose not to fear the Heavenly Father. So the Heavenly Father pouring these calamities, these judgments upon them. That's why it's best to fear the Heavenly Father before the Heavenly Father unleashes all these type of judgments upon you. You ain't gonna be able to bear these hard times. They're gonna be able to befall you if you don't have the fear of the Lord. If you're not in good graces with the Heavenly Father, you're not doing what is commanded of you. Your actions aren't pleasing the Heavenly Father. You're not gonna be able to stand in that day. But I don't want to go too long. I don't want to be a dead horse. Just want to magnify the fear of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, upon the hopeful elect. And for 2/3, you know what the judgment is. And if you don't, then you can read about it. Zechariah the 14th chapter, Zechariah the 13th chapter. Where it talks about 2/3 going to be slain and one left. Zechariah the 14th chapter. The plague to go forth. That destroying wind, which is these ICBM thermonuclear missiles, that's going to melt and consume your tongue in its holes, your eyeballs in their holes, and it's going to ultimately obliterate you. That's why you should fear the Heavenly Father, But until next time, I want to say shalom. Wild Bob Babal.